Hi, everybody.
What's up, y'all?
Thank you for coming.
Michael, I just read your article in the Reformer.
So when we're all fully vaccinated, maybe you can have a sign clinic for us.
Oh, definitely. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
Look at all those people that live in sunny places.
Yeah, not jealous at all of California.
What's the weather in New York, Kate? You didn't hear me.
Wow, we already have 93 folks in the Zoom room. That's amazing. Wow, we have over 100 people. Woo! Hi, students. We miss you.
Hey. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshops April 2021 installment of the Before Time reading series for National Poetry Month. My name is Junauda Petrus-Nasah, and I'm a writer, runaway witch, cosmic bag lady, and I'm a MPWW instructor. And I will be your host for the evening. And what a juicy, beautiful, balm, inspiring evening we have ahead for us. So I'm just was excited for this evening for weeks, and even more so in this moment. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone that this reading is being recorded and will be posted onto our YouTube channel. So if you're feeling shy, please feel free to turn off them cameras. And please remember to stay muted during this program regardless. And we hope you'll stay until the end, because that's an opportunity to send along cheers and words of encouragement and support to all of those watching on the inside. And to everyone watching this at a slightly later date, we are sending you all the good vibes through the ether, through time and space and bars. Before Time was inspired by our bi-monthly reading series with the Stillwater's Prison Writers Collective. Since the in-person reading series is on hold indefinitely during the pandemic, we wanted to offer this monthly recorded event as just a small offering to our students who we haven't seen since early March of last year. Where For Time brings together local and national writers, as well as our instructors and mentors. In May, we will have another amazing reading to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, hosted by Sun Young Shin, who's my boo and the boo of many in these streets. So please stay tuned and check in for that next month. And we'd also like to take a moment to thank our new sponsor, Voices in the Valley Reading Series, which is funded by the Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan. We are grateful for your generous sponsorship of Before Time, and we'd like to send a warm welcome to all of your students who are watching. And in this moment, I just want to give thanks for this collective space where we can hold each other through space and time and poetry and words and love and light. In this moment, again, our hearts are heavy and our spirits are trying to make sense of the absolute senseless. Let this moment be softness and balm and sweetness amid this confusion. And despite the violence against the Black community and all communities throughout the world and beyond, let us take a moment to make space for Black joy, Black life, Black art. Today is our beloved MPWW Boo instructor, board president, poet about town, Zaddy, Daddy, dear friend to many, Michael Cleaver Diggs. It's his birthday, y'all. It's his birthday. You know, we're gonna turn up a little bit for him. He's an Aries baby, and we know our students love and miss you so much. So if y'all wouldn't mind turning on your mics and singing a really messy version of Happy Birthday, the Black version, I assume is what we're doing. And y'all ready? It's gonna be on a 1 and a 2 and a happy birthday
to you.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
Happy birthday.
Michael,
You feel that love?
We love you, MKD.
We love you.
Love you.
Are there just
Richly
playing
blessed.
weird? You said what?
I feel richly blessed. Thank you.
So tonight, MPWW. First of all, thank y'all for turning up beautiful voices like the harmonies, bound, hitting. But moving on. Tonight, MPWW is delighted and honored to bring you 6 brilliant writers, y'all. We have B, we have Muriel Leung, we have Justin Phillip Reed, we got Claire Schwartz, we got Bino, and we have Danez Smith. After the reading, we will have a quick chat. Then we will end the evening with special messages from our amazing MPWW instructors and poet, Michael Torres and Caits Meissner, Director of Prison and Justice Writing at PEN America, who's joining us from New York. So to kick off our evening, thanks to our friends at We Are Criminals and our collaboration with the Scene Project, we are thrilled to feature our MPWW student, B. B is a member of the Stillwater Writers Collective and the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop. His poetry has appeared in Cream City Review, Columbia, a Journal of Literature and Art, the Laurel Review, among others, and has work forthcoming in the nation. His poetry has received multiple awards from PEN America. He is currently working on his debut collection titled Disfigured Hours, and he is co-editor of the anthology Hidden Casts, Exploring America's Vulnerable Classes, forthcoming with Coffee House Press. Please give it up for B.
My name is B, and this is an excerpt from Disfigured Hours. His eyes and my eyes are barcodes. I mean, barred holes. I mean, bars over hot coals stoked by badged mouths that form person, but say property. 3 times daily we stand and are inventoried. See our bodies bend into numbers accounted for. Okay. My name is B, and this poem is called The Self as an Unlit Wick in Bed. The self as an unlit wick in bed waits for warmth from the inside out. Lank body, a corpse pose under polyester's blanket itch. My restless head crackles the plastic pillow like the gritted language of snow crust underfoot. Flakes corkscrew December's cold beyond bar-straddled windows. Lamplight the color of saved letters yellowing at their edges. Yesh, a horizon line between my body and concrete ceiling where I spend my prayers. I ask the God of falling things how ruin makes a home of such places, how snowflakes become the salvaged words of night's erasure. I look up at the unframed family photos taped to the wall, corners curled with age. Notice a thief has stolen my face from each one. I forget my name. Think it sounds something like a harsh winter exiling anything green, lush.
I once mistook a gray moth lying at my feet on faded grass for a blanched butterfly. Its casual stillness, wings curved hieroglyphs steely against the bronzed lawn, startled me. Everything in prison moves in hunched caution, flightless but bent on flying. Did it know this wasn't pasture meant to land on? Did it know my pale shadow wasn't an elm and never could be? Did it know, no matter how much pretending, it was a moth? I tried to find answers woven in fine silk on its quiet wings. Its language was dust.
Give it up for B. And anyway, you can take off your mics. You can clap it up in your box.
Woo! Great B.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Beautiful.
That was fucking dope.
Yeah. It hit so beautifully. I'm so grateful that we got to catch all of that hot fire from B. Next, we have a darling of my heart, my Cancerian sister, Muriel Leung, who I'm so excited is going to be here with us today. And Muriel is the author of Imagine Us, The Swarm, a forthcoming from Night Boat Books, and Bone Confetti, winner of the 2015 Noemi Press Book Award. A pushcart prize-nominated writer, her writing can be found in The Baffler, Cream City Review, Gulf Coast, among others. She is a recipient of fellowships to Kundaman Vona Voices Workshop, where we met, and the community of writers. She is the poetry co-editor of Apogee Journal and co-host the Blood Jet Writing Hour podcast with Rochelle Cruz and MT Vallarta. She is a member of Maressa Collective, a feminist speakers bureau, and Andrew W. Mellon Humanities and a Digital World Fellow. She's completing her PhD in creative writing and literature at the University of Southern California, but she hails from Queens, New York, like the best of them. Welcome Muriel to the stage.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Junauda. Thank you, Sue, for this invitation to be here today. And thank you to everyone at the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop for all the work that you do, and to all the students who are watching, participating. That was an incredible poem by B. I think the chat box was blowing up, so I think everyone else agrees too. So I'm still reeling from that. That was really incredible. Thank you. You know, it means so much to be part of this event today, especially as I know so much has been happening in Minnesota, especially as of recent. I think we have to name that the recent murder of Daunte Wright, and a month before the anniversary of George Floyd's passing. And so yeah, I think we have to name that today, and thank you, Junauda, for naming that insistence on Black joy as something that's really integral to today, because I think that there is so much conversation and movement of grief recently, that there is that reminder too that we have to also emphasize the resilience of communities, especially Black communities as well. So I think that's really important to name. But I'm thinking of everyone in Minnesota today, especially Black communities in Minnesota. And I'm reminded also that events like this serve as a reminder that art and literature have this really incredible power, as we've just witnessed earlier, the power to intervene and challenge systems that are broken, and to forge hopefully like brighter futures for all of us. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for this event, for holding space for that. I think everyone here has come to show up to hear a little bit of that. And so I'm just very lucky to be part of this today. I do want to read from my new book that is coming out, Imagine Us the Swarm. That's my mom. Wait, she's here. And it's a very special book. I think the second book is kind of a way of writing the things that I haven't completely exercised from the first. And so this is very much a book about family, about Asian American history and labor, and about very much why the American dream is a lie, in case, no one knows that it is. And so I wanted to share a long poem from the book today. This is called A Careful List of All My Failures. A careful list of all my failures. Every year, the same ritual of halving myself before each benevolent ghost. Gold fleck paper lit until its inevitable blossoming. Moth, angel, ash bead. I am reminded sometimes that floundering can be gentle while also singed. Here, my body tilts forward in an internal rocking. There, I carried incense too far to the south of me. The wind blew the fire out. With such mournfulness, I was talking. I sang it deep into my bones, and clumsily the talking became a fugue, cowed for you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and I was tall as a carousel bush, wanting always to please, but my badness seeks unfilial pleasure. Discovered too early how to sift through my own self-loathing, but my body did not bow, it bent. My mother calls it a bettering, as in, do you think you're better than me? Because being bad has a texture like the rubbing together of two unlike stones. Its spark means plenitude. It has no exact translation. That I swallowed my words for 6 years until they were as rotten as me. So she planted a sword in herself. And I took the sword and sunk it down my grotto. In such variable tricks we survived for years. My bad made of dirt, glitter, and so much bloat. How American is language of ascension, that I could spit back I did not ask to be born and mean it. Clara Jean Kim calls it the field of racial positions, the arrangement of different bodies along a dying field, vying for the one blade of fresh cut grass, as if none of us are fit for water. What the theory of racial triangulation tells us is a distribution of inequities rooted in white dominance, that I could look to you and feel that I am at once lesser and perhaps fortuitous for having earned that small morsel of God. To bend so far back, my spine becomes another flag of assimilable colors. And I am not even legible to myself, cannot even English my way out. At my eradication, my first love wrote me a poem about my body, telling me what my body was when knuckle creased, how I knew it was a trap, but could not gather my flesh fast enough. Those were the heaviest days, when I was filled with so much rain that I did not know what he meant when he said, "You are the prettiest pretty, my pretty. Can you speak Japanese to me? Can you, my pretty, please?" And I was so grateful to be even considered while dissolving beneath him that I shuddered away the alarm and said, "That is not me," but also, okay. Some days it is so quiet, it feels like begging. One day, smaller than a fingernail. Another day, the colossal fury of a rising tide. In a nation of proximity and degree, what is my likeness to a thumb? The brutal texture of my race beside another. The history of my particulars, only a fraction of a tower. How luminous my non-speech, how my ghost becomes a hiss. The resistance lives in me, I know, though how? A history racing against itself knows only meaning through monument, the isolation of grief in a grate alone. The way my therapist traced it, the trauma wheel in perpetuity moves and comes upon a wall, smacking against this bright white surface, often on an unsuspecting day, in succession, until it begins to feel like a drowning. On paper, the steely faces of my ancestors bear the mark of trying, as in the act of striving would do the body good. The bones buck up, refuse to lose. The white woman who said, "I am jealous of your culture. You will never run out of things to write about." The poorest matter of one's racial suffering. Such myths we prepare for ourselves. In a singular language, a cleansing. That absence can feel like relief. Still, to my mother, I described how I wanted to live a good life of many candied gratitudes. I wanted to be bigger than a bruise. So much noise, I patterned my breaking, but my queerest self buckling against the frame is something other. When R folded the sheet over me, the city was quiet and borderless. I dreamed. Even locked within the room, I poured out of it. Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasinha asks, where is this place our baby bodies sprinted towards, even when we were holding still for as long as possible? In other words, what does it mean to be free? The sky of my love is full of tumult, that I know. In the dying field, pointing to my own body, I saw that it was mine, was always there, and it spoke when I spoke, a language of two hardened places. And there I lived, despite it all. Thank you so much.
Clap it out, take it out silence, clap it up in your window.
Yeah, woo! Thank you, Muriel. Wow.
That shit was fire.
Yes. And you know, conveniently in the chat is a link to go get you some of that fire fresh off the press. So beautiful, so full, so lush, so like visceral. Thank you, Muriel, for that. And for holding Minnesota in your heart, all the way in Cali. We feel that heat, we feel that love. Yes. Sorry, I'm ready to be a host. Okay, I got pulled in. Now I'm back in my role. So we have something else delicious for y'all. The Justin Phillip read. So excited to experience your work tonight. Justin is an American writer, an amateur bass guitarist whose preoccupations include horror cinema, poetic form, morphological transgressions, and uses of the grotesque. He is the author of 2 poetry collections, The Malevolent Volume in 2020 and Indecency in 2018. Oh, you know, that just happened to win the National Book Award in Poetry, both published by Coffee House Press. Born and raised in the PD region of South Carolina, Justin participates in vague spirituality and alternative rock music cultures and enjoys smelling like outside. Please welcome y'all, Justin Phillip Reed, to the stage.
Thank you, Junauda.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. And it's just, I think it's good to kind of see friendly faces in the virtual space. I take a lot of breaks from like Zoom shit because it's exhausting. But it's nice to come back to see y'all and just kind of see you living in your spaces. I appreciate that Danez is chewing on something. Like, that makes me really happy. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm really excited that the students get to join, and I'm like excited to like B's reading was dope. Muriel, you were dope. Looking forward to everybody else. I'm gonna, I think, read one poem from the Malevolent volume just because it turned a year old. And then I'm gonna read new shit about a horror movie. This poem is titled Minotaur. Having been found guilty, seen assuming the shape most unnerving, hulking starward, jacketed in alley walls, claws, grill, and grope, the twin glints that could be grief, hunger, Venus, Lucifer. Having been conceived guilt itself, I was not the bull thing saddled with shadows of corners, misturns many, the crimson lyric from an ode its new throat hummed, twined around the fingers of a white boy king. I was perhaps the labyrinth, crook swagger toward the scene and passing myself away from. Wound, meaning once there was no road. Vignette of false exits. Or I was the blood, what cardinal pointed the would-be conqueror out to beach, then became his mind's unmooring, then the still black sail, and then the night inside it, have bent ashore's knees, have been where day breaks like someone else's father's face. Okay, so I've been working on this project that's an infrastic engagement with the 1973 horror film Ganja and Hess, written and directed by Bill Gunn. Claire published one of those, and Jewish currents, which I'm really thankful for. It's been a really weird experience. I'm kind of just like trying to live alongside this film and see, I think what it's showing me about specifically like Black life as it is entwined with contemporary forms of capitalism. So here it goes. And I think if I can share a screen, I'm gonna do that. No, that's disabled, never mind. All right.
Hold on, I can let you. Just give me 1 second and I'll make.
Okay, let me make sure I set this timer too. All right. Cool, thank you.
That should work, yeah.
The truth of the thing. I love you, you floor me. I have loved you and been floored. I fell for you, I hit the floor. I'm in love and on the floor. Blood continues hitting the tiles. It glides over grout. It slides out a mouth that I made in my head, having loved you in a way hardly regular. It is as red as a convertible, Christ's robe at supper. I don't know why I think love looks like somebody on a floor or a dinner table broken into, or a fist where fits the handle of a pistol I haven't yet faced in person, though I know a man who loves me has for me one or the other. Yes, I'm thinking of my brother whom I've bled, what he owes me. I always got my ass whooped in bathrooms. You remind me of him and quietly I like it. One of you will destroy me. Anonymous gospel will open in the shape of a horn in an off-camera corner of the room. Open as the mouth on the floor, blood thick from a spigot, spill of magnesium milk, thick wad of wasp larvae, the spider's open abdomen, red as the bone of an aesthete. I love you to the floor. All of these subtitles are like quotes from the film and specifically from the scenes that I'm writing after, by the way. So this is Ganja saying, so we got 3 things going. We got some grape jelly, some hominy grits, and an extension cord. Frequently, people be impressed with some shit that I did that isn't impressive. For 3 hours a week, my nana in her usher uniform. People like to fabricate nouns so white you can't work in them. No one rouged her cheek, none ran her or her stockings, like publishing, or stepped on her tennis shoes, sweated her lapel. A cloth I have to launder once I wipe my face has no stamina. Her man was dead or not your business. I come to the table up, washed like I already ate, painted like I already slaughtered. Baking soda somewhere seething among my bequests. Frequently people mean to look like that's their money. Framed by a wickerback, I'm spooning black and bleach, share an etymological base, sugar sheer as pestled glass from stainless. Spent hours cleaning out, daydreaming, cresting waves, stayed knives of a starched collar, whole moon stuck in the lobes of, by the time we make love, I'm exhausted and starving, a stunning lover, a contrived still life, who fingers cherry entrails with hive of muscadized, while 2 thick peaches cleave to their pits, and 6-piece bone china set, a set designed, daisy spectate from a standing planter box. X's and checkers of decadence rebranded as evidence style suggest sprays of metal petals unwilting, color happens at crossings. Madam, I came with the house. If you burnished all this, we'd have a different conversation. I mean, shit, I could go with it too. And I loathed my beauty for that. This was always supposed to be a story of carnage. Copper stripped from a basement, walls barged down the river, ruddy as the stain on the sister's seat. That day in the rain and the frame still smoking. In the chain link fence's revenge, it split her soul. Rust grit and brick dust gripped in her prints. Brush hisses and dense brown hush. Horseshoe kicks, what you trying to say, trap shut into snowbank, the cricket twinkle rangers. Bring in the big evening. In its black continuity, we are outnumbered and maneuvered by memory. Her beauty excruciates, emphasizes the cardinally directed reflections affixed to Marlene Clark's face. We stop the motion of molten metal and beg it, frozen, reveal us intrinsically. The child born, e.g. Rosa, as creation is a solicited solidification of interior crisis, a temporary and meaningful clot. Someone chooses ruin for the wood. From that shot to this, both a cross-cut and rip-cut in which classical sculpture is an anachronism and a parallel becoming, graven woman, wonderful girl. Barbie doll, my father calls my mother's portrait. Blush background, collarbones, curls, tinted lip. Easy, the sands of his pharynx romance. Waterfall, rose furls, cinnamon stick. This blood coupling's a because of me, its symmetry and fuckery. Thou art with me and once fine and ordinarily poured your good years into systems of profit, piecemeal pocketbooking stolen feed. Grief, grief, relentless thrift, you suffocating burgundy apology. Let's see if I got time to do this whole one. Okay, this one's really weird. I mean, I don't know if it could get weirder, but here we are. But the cross is only an implement of torture. Its shadow is the darkness it casts. You see, nothing can survive the shadows. Shadows come in crews. Consider Soleil in 99 and 3 light designs, 6 fans spinning 36 blades, a cut to her, cuts her slim figure 8 into several X's, who dat? 7 eyes, twice, as in a sonnet of first-person assertion, the self ever forthcoming and possible, or a ballad stanza couplet of I as in agreement, the official affirmation of crews of real crooks in Congress, but here a 14er of fuck with me, that is also fuck out of here with that, who dat? JT money making money and love synonymous from fake and sophisticated restraints. This is how I found copsplus.com and could buy now Smith & Wesson double locking nickel plated handcuffs for $20. If he hollers, let him breathe less loudly. Knuckles and nuts shadow me. Their badges signify a butterfinger and lazy eyes. I graduated from bullies to bullies with taxpayer backing and pensions. I put this psychological crisis of cringing at endless pursuit into a concrete poem the people thought was dark but fun. The darkness slash the it slash the casts and crosshairs I'm persuaded to reiterate for people who don't mix concrete and poetry can best be allegorized by what lurked on all surfaces that children with markers could find in the 90s. Mobius strips drawn out of 6 vertical star bars in their shadows. My lyric involutes with my brain matter. In the myth, the labyrinth was essentially a prison. Imagine the US allowing my mind to imagine leaving. All I do is think about you. I stick like a down-ass chick. From who dat to who we be, what interests me is the consistent thrash of limbs against context. X's restless body refusing to comply with the stasis of a cell breaks monotony into montage. His litany upsets the limits of the frame. But is he chanting dead end or what? While 7 children, blue and grayscale as the us Michael choruses they don't really care about, each declare I am DMX. I sing myself into the melismas KC makes of the words land and country in a video where him and JoJo in shiny leather and fisheye shades shuffle from bunk to block. Everything the light touches flooding them in a motif of police presence. How the brothers end up crooning on the roof in suits has me asking if Black people's panoptic self-consciousness, born of coming into being under perpetual surveillance, manifests in these visual emphases on omnipresence. I was raised to believe that God and my dead daddy were always watching. How does a Black expat on this Mobius strip empire and I try to figure which of us is captive to the other and neither grows up? Down at the cross stood more crosses. Out of a jackal came Damien. The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog, how you gonna see him if you living in a fog? Shadows emerge in mobs. I mean, far from barbecuing the swine in my mind, I'm still dragging the red wagon in which rattle my uncle's knuckles, their gold cuspids, their brass tacks, nuts and bolts, the cars and cinder block, the ropes they show, the concrete they pour, how their women pay. The days spread out with the chocolates in our little pockets till there was no shortage of grown-ass men holding fistfuls of formless dreams and aluminum foil. In the shape of my life, a stray dog tugs a radio flyer piled high with a bastard who removes a leather belt in perpetuity. The belt is irreducible. It is also the leash. The animal really gives a damn. The man's just good with his hands. The crew in me accrues the crew in him, as well as the deputy who tailed them, and the confederacy of foremen who buoyed them the day long before, their fathers before them, all at least 6 feet. In the 6-month Carolina summer, their shadows atop gravel lots at cookouts resembled drainage, where the got loose dog was curb popped and left to bloat. They risk permanent damage when observed with the naked eye. Flies land on reflective glass and shadows multiply them too. And this is the last one, I'm gonna squeeze this in. Come with me, he said, meaning let us be free of our fealty to blood, but not of each other. I said nothing. The lamp sway shivered my indecision. The lamplight vivified my shadows. I noted things about the room around us, inventory of our belonging, planted and pinned like some kind of canvas tent the right wind could unpitch. Bookshelves held up the walls. The coffee table upheld more books on its legs. The mortal lives behind the word woodwork, the next to nothing spent for those spent lives. When everything here eventually gave out, we got more. Innovations like the cigarette and the percolator competed to keep our minds inventive, productive as mines and one-trick fields, and same fated farmers paid a fraction of a tractor. To track these intakes down rows of a pedigreed European auto stock corporation notebook, legitimized manuscripts that were otherwise mine, but for archivists in the failing universities of the future who own my dead papers harder on the eyes. As for love, I knew I longed to be valued in such a way as to watch his hands atrophy and petrify, reluctant to degrade my image of self-sufficiency. It cost too much to be among the state's estate as long as I would live to have nobody give a little, if just a damn that today I ambulated, or imagine me bathing, submerged to the shoulders and disaccustomed to thirst for clean water. Please, please, he repeated, begging, hounded by its echo. A voice was singing the spirit he figured he recovered. He got up to get free. He stood up to leave me. I hovered like the shadow crossing his heart, saying nothing. Suddenly he was such a man. Manpower surrounded me. With its new leaves and physical uncertainties he was outfitted to risk, while the memory of feeling cold knitted my skin. The wind came in, and leaves turned over leaves lit upon his body / one of the bodies he'd chosen. I closed it to leave. The eyes, the hole in the ground, my mouth, the door. What opened? The decanter, the window, the water, and my hand, and another body leapt over another rushing in. Thank you.
Damn.
Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Wow.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.
Yes. Oh, I mean, poetry, you just gotta sit in it, you know, and just like.
Chat's going wild.
Yeah. Just gonna let people continue to respond and just like hold that. Thank you so much, Justin.
I'm gonna be a nigga and ask a question. Justin, do you you write them poems in Black? Do you write in the Black space with the white text? Okay, that's okay. I just needed to know. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Great question. Coolio. Thank you so much, Justin. Just of course, y'all got the links to support and get to absorb and take in that reading on your own. Thank you, Sue, for putting that in. Yes. Next we have to the mic. We have Claire Schwartz, who is the author of the poetry collection Civil Service, forthcoming with Grey Wolf Press in 2022, and the chapbook Bound, published by Button Poetry in 2018, selected by Aziza Barnes as winner of the 2016 Button Poetry Contest. She is the poetry editor of Jewish Currents. Her writing has appeared in The Believer, Los Angeles Review of Books, The Nation, The New Yorker Online, Poetry Magazine, Virginia Quarterly Review, and elsewhere. Claire is also an instructor with MPWW and most recently taught a remote class that our students loved called Pledges, Anthems, and Acts. Please welcome to the stage, Claire Schwartz.
Woo! Yeah, Claire.
Wow, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel so lucky to be brought into this form of togetherness and to just be dwelling in the space of the reverberations of Bino and Danez and Muriel and Justin and your readings, and Junauda, thank you so much for holding this so beautifully. I normally don't do too much chat, but I'm feeling the need to say a little bit about the questions that are kind of animating the poems that I'm going to share tonight. I feel like poetry is somewhere that I go to sort of explode meaning, and I'm feeling the need to kind of consolidate something to touch before I move into the poem. So I'm just going to share a little bit. I've been thinking a lot about the threshold at which we register violence as violence, and how in some ways the terms of the we, or at least a we, is shaped by the radical unevenness of that threshold. I've been holding words from the abolitionist organizer Miriam Kaba, who writes, "We must accept the ordinary is fair for the spectacular to be a problem. Perhaps this is my plea, that we train ourselves to see the mundane rather than to focus on the spectacular and on the excess." And so Kaba's language helped me to understand that the spectacle participates in accelerationist logic, so that a thick we starts to rely on, or even more frighteningly, to require more and more violence in order for an event, or more rarely a structure, to be met with robust social address. So I've been thinking about what poetry can do in a context where so much that identifies itself as oppositional response to harm actually colludes with harm. And I've been thinking about poetry as an instrument of attunement that can help me to recalibrate what I understand as unacceptable, to perceive the violences of the ordinary as unacceptable violence so that I might meet them differently. And so these are the questions that are kind of animating my book project, Civil Service, which investigates the rote maintenance of empire through a cast of fictional bureaucrats and other workers. There are a couple of different forms of poems that recur throughout the manuscript, and one which I'll be reading tonight is something that I'm calling the lecture. And in civil service, the lecture is a form that turns over some of the forms that bind the social, in this case, the form of the house. And the lectures are really situated at the intersection of writing and reading. So what the text offers leaves a lot of room for the reader to complete the meaning. I guess that's really just all to say. They're interested in meaning as that thing that we make together. And I'll just, the only other thing I think I need to add is that the inquiry is characterized through a figure called Amira, who abruptly emerges and submerges throughout the text. And so my sister is gonna help me read tonight. So when she's reading, that's kind of the world of Amira, that's the otherwise of the text. So I'm just gonna read two poems. Parable. The woman sits at her kitchen table across from a head of cabbage. The woman's mouth moves quickly, then slowly. She is trying to explain. She cocks her head to the side, listening. She is trying to understand. Now she is understanding, nods. Each morning they sit like this, the woman and her cabbage. This is how she grows old, as though her face is a lake the wind whispers to. Every day, its confidence worrying the surface a bit more. On the stove, the percolator sings. The woman worries over the cabbage. She pours 2 cups of coffee. One sits there, a tranquil lake. At the end of the day, the woman washes the cups tenderly, as if washing a body. She knows she is washing a body. One evening, the woman's son comes back. It's not important from where. It's not important how long he's been gone. It matters only that time has deposited in him sarin, lead, carbon dioxide, and when he returns, he is no longer a boy who sings softly to the moon. The man follows orders. He wields what he's amassed. On the windowsill, petunias wilt in descent. Now there is a head on the floor, smashed as if cabbage. Now there is a witnessing head, silent as cabbage. The boy is the state. The cup is you. No, the boy is your lover. The cabbage farmer is you. Or the woman is a lesson. The cabbage is you. No, oh, the many ways to misread. Or that other risk, the greater one, and what you'd have to do with it. Lecture on the history of the house. Before the alphabet, there was the house. A Proto-Semitic hieroglyphic symbol depicting a house becomes the letter B. Bait, beit, bit, lechem, no house, no bread, no book, no baby, no babble, b. When the temple was written, the destruction of the temple was written. The house scripts its defense. The house writes the fence. In the beginning, there was A, night, B, day, A, tent, B, house, A, the letter scoring the darkness. Q, in the beginning, what was? Answer, the beginning. Question, what answered the question? Silence asked. Answer, question. The alphabet, ruin of silence. The only way back through language, language destroying the silence. The shadow language casts is silence. No language, no shadow, no, 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 no. To ruin your knowing in your mouth and dress the ruins with your best tongue. First the temple, then the book leading back to the temple. So the interior is measured, apportioned, walled square footage, living space. It is settled then. A house is a home and other embroidered facts. It becomes you, your craft, bird houses, hen houses, dog houses, like us, we chirp. Who's the bird now? The problem with liking is the conflation of desire with similarity. We form our mouths to fence we in. We fence our forms to mouth we in. Babble, Inside the house, the family. Inside the family, the house. Inside the tower, the princess does not dream of the tower. Theory is a scream slowed by vintage technology.
Touch me, Amira says, touch me.
The model of the house is the size of a house. You confuse the conditions that make something possible with the conditions that make something necessary. You don't see thinking as an emergency. You own to prove you cannot be owned. In owning, you sign a contract of possession. The ghost tells the story of the house, but none of the other tenants know how to listen. You lock yourself out, morning. You lock yourself in, night. Ownership is a chronic condition. Install a camera to conjugate the strangeness. The house draws your speech like a bath. Sink, yard, repair, astroturf, neighbor, clean, handyman, that good light. The first bedroom makes you sad. The second bedroom makes a baby. In the corner of the living room, the whole globe spun by children. It's more than the accountant told you it would be. Which came first, the fence or the yard? Ink on a black page. A poem wrestles the ghost with its limited mouth. A poem touches the hip of a ghost. In the dark, 1,000 names bloom. No country comes of that night. What is wild? That which cannot be measured.
Amira.
Or to produce a thought of the outside from the inside and use it as a tunnel, but you didn't know you were inside. Someone laid the new bricks around you while you slept. You skinned animals and adorned your captivity. Modern architects called the surfaces of their buildings skins. Your skin was light, your skin was feathers. You dreamt of another. You lit a match. Your child named it sun. House, A, trained, B, broken. Inside the house, a man hits you. Then you understand. Your body is the window. Inside, you are already outside. Next door, the soloist domesticates a tune. Poetry is a door without a house. Theory is productive of the known. Poetry is productive of the unknown. How then do you know what is true? These walls, this foundation in the pages of glossy magazines. The newspapers scratch their heads. Again, the hunters budgeting. At the end of the day, you return to what is not common. What is desire fulfilled? A, satisfaction. B, rot. The man reaches through his woman, the sound of 1,000 plates shattering. A butterfly impaled by human name tumbles through light like an angel.
Amira sits under a tree, unpinning the names from things.
The house is without simile. Inside, everything is alike.
She releases the names to the wind. The wind churns the names to pigment, carries the colors off like.
Oh, I know what a house is. A house is my knowing. Knowing is faith absent doubt. When doubt is cleaved from faith, where does it go? A caucus of ghosts cackling.
Deader, deader, put on your best sweater. The magic's fled, the milk's gone bad. There's nothing left but weather.
Because you needed a fence to limit your loneliness. Because haunting needed a form. Your dreams become modest, smooth their skirts, stand up. Your yard polluted with growth. The head in your oven, your most faithful tenant. Let me turn my face toward my life. Let me live inside it forever. A racket of ghosts in a settling structure. The dictator's name scrawled in your lover's hand on the I-beams of your house. That is the law. Thanks.
Woo!
Y'all, thank
Wow.
you. Feel free, clap it out in your squares. Y'all know the drill.
Incredible.
Thank you so much, Claire, for that magic and for sharing work from your forthcoming work. Yeah, and I just wanted to like acknowledge, like over the course of this evening, we've had about 112 people just kind of be in space with us. So I just wanted to say that for all of our folks who'll be checking out this later. But yes, thank you so much again, Claire, and everybody who's gone so far. We have another featured reader, which is Bino. I'm saying that right, I hope. Yes. Bino is a writer and poet whose work is included in A Darker Wilderness, an anthology of Black nature writing is forthcoming with Milkweed Editions. His poems and stories have appeared in Doors Adjacent, Night Colors, among others. He's the 2019 Pamela J. Calgary Broadside Award winner and is a co-editor of the anthology Hidden Casts, exploring America's vulnerable classes, forthcoming with Coffee House Press. Bino spent his formative years in Detroit nurturing his grandfather's urban garden. Thank you, Bino, coming right up with your poetry to the stage.
Fire in the hole. Mirror gazing, reflective scab of a man. Cliff diving, Tweety bird burying, 2-bit rascal. Pack mentality, tree climbing, scoundrel in a brothel. King of the mountain, fountain of the youth, searching parable of a person. Who are you to be critical of our mental hospital when we created it? Come on, reach into this hole. Save me from your G.I. Joe's hostile takeover of Barbie and Ken's dollhouse, from being a snake oil peddling door salesman with nothing to offer, 4 jokers in a deck of cards, conniving con man from that strychnine snorting, whip cracking, world crushing, hush money pushing, prostitute wrangling, nightmare monster creeping orange face. Save me, back flipping domestic terrorist, soon to be dinosaur in the Apple store, you high speed driving bad babysitter with a fifth of liquor, risk taking conservative anomaly of a role model, 2-gun toting deep thinker. Reach reach into this hole and try and pull me out. Save me from flesh-cracking miniature warheads, from the savory taste of illegal success and the phrase, he's better off dead, from the rain-filled days, racism maze, from the downswing of a cynic's verbal sickle and being euthanized with euphemisms. Save me like you save fine memories, you mirror-gazing, conceited, vanity-indulged, mohawk-wearing, duplicitous thing. Unlearn my skewed facts and what I think a breaking point is. Uncapture my mind from the fake sound of freedom ringing. Unravel my thread from the line of our misguided free will. Save me, death-defying couch potato, flapping fish in a frying pan, you ice cube in Arizona heat with the hope of a burning phoenix, evaporate into nothing. Heartbeat of a tortoise, pace of a sloth, you're not ready to save me from the fate of an empty funeral and a dry eulogy. You unreligious man of the cloth, street priest with a faulty flock, Bible reading heathen, calorie counting gluttonous sin committing hog in a trough, street heretic, reaching to this hole and try and pull me out from being a love paraplegic, from being emotionally crippled, from being a bastard child of distorted lust, from biological clicks ticking in reverse and Hallmark card confessions. Save me, wanna be Casanova, wanna be outlaw, wanna be musician, you reflecting miscreant in a mirror, gremlin with a grenade, living in harmonious madness like Tupac and Sebastian Bach riding in a Maybach. Save me from a dream deferred in the hues of discrimination and the labels of the nation of incarceration. I'm not your inmate, I'm not your offender, I'm not your client, I'm not your patient, I'm not your reflection, I am your reflection. Now reach into this hole, come on, save me from dilapidated houses, crumbled relationships, smiles filled with potholes, darkened streets of disappearing adolescence, from ignorance's bliss, in the voice of my head, from my ego's power trip. Save me, I dare you, wrench down into this hole and try and pull me out.
Ooh, shucky ducky. Ooh. Ooh, reach into that hole. Ooh.
Hey, Bino!
Yeah.
Woo!
Y'all give it up. Give it up.
Bino, we love you.
That is nuts.
Right? When I tell you these readings be reading. So beautiful, so beautiful. Yes, y'all, just throw up the love. Just let it waterfall you. Let it be all of a part of you. All of this art, all of this beautiful. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this next beautiful soul. I'm so excited to introduce Danez Smith, a Black queer pause writer and performer from St. Paul, Minnesota. Danez is the author of Homie and Don't Call Us Dead, both published with Grey Wolf Press, awarded the Forward Prize for Best Collection, the Midwest Booksellers' Choice Award, and a finalist for the National Book Award, and Insert Boy with Yes Yes Books in 2014, winner of the Kate Tufts Discovery Award and the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Poetry. They are the recipients of fellowships from the Poetry Foundation, Cave Canem, the National Endowment of the Arts, among others. Danez's work has been featured widely, including the New York Times, PBS NewsHour, Best American Poetry, and On the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Ooh. Danez has been featured as part of Forbes' annual 30 Under 30 list, and they are a member of the Dark Noise Collective and is the co-host of VS, or is it Versus, with Franny Choi, a podcast sponsored by the Poetry Foundation and Post Loudness. You know, so y'all come get you an actual taste in person of this hot fire about to come. Danez, welcome to the stage, baby.
Thank you, Junauda. Appreciate you so much. It's wonderful to see you.
Woo!
Hey, Sue. All right, it's wonderful to see you here, Sue.
Thank you for being here today. Woo!
I am so glad to be here. I have fun every time I come to something with the Minnesota Prison Writers Workshop. To all the other writers, to Muriel and Claire and Justin, motherfucking Justin. It is an honor to be here with the three of y'all, such geniuses, including Bino. What the fuck was that? That poem was incredible. Justin, I don't know about you, but Jonah came to mind when I was listening to that. Just that fire and like, I don't know, there was a thing there. I want to see that poem. And B, we can't wait for that book, man. Thank you for blessing us to start this off joint super proper and right. Thank you to both of y'all for y'all work tonight. And all the poets. I'm super happy. Cool. All right, I'm read some poems. I was listening to Daniel Caesar, which I try not to do too intentionally nowadays, ever since he was caught defending white women. But at the end of Japanese Denim, which is a lovely love song, he says this line, "You don't even know me, I'm hanging from a tree." And that really caught me. So I wrote this poem. You don't know me, I'm hanging from a dream. Me in my last life, a fantasy, wet and dream lynched. Me, good pussy, 9 lives, all murder for my talent, for my color, my sex, whatever he killed me for. In that life, I was the best at it, best colored, best bleeding sex, best dead. Me, once I was born the rope, not the neck. Once I was a fire full of niggers. You know it's happened. Someone said that. Someone heard the building candled while still full of living and laughed. I was never that laugh. I was the song, the siren that made the dying ear know it was not dead. Sound still entering and touching the mind. I was mine once, and again in this life, I'm mostly my own. Somewhere outside of my knowing, deep in the black mood, the blood of my heart making its way to my brain, carrying information, secrets, the rumor of my body, the story I tell for wealth, and the wealth is worthless. Me, every time they kill me, I come back by summer. Gold is useless to me, but in every life, I have it. Look at me up here, dangling as my tongue. Look deep into my cave. Look deep into the cave my breath left. Find my final plaque-worn star. All right, this one. This notebook was given to me by a friend, Kelsey Van Ert, who I love very much, and it was given to me at a time where I think I had a very hard time being a poet. Or not being a poet, but sometimes even as an artist, I think I like very rightfully can sometimes come to the answer like, have I said it? And so I think it's giving me a lot more comforting silences between the poems. And sometimes I'd be done with poems. And so this was one of those poems, but then I started writing again. Other people's poems. As if I exited the line and now watch. As the poets pull memories from a beetle's back, pulling the wind through a loom, making birds, scattered from shadows, I'm done with it. As if I've said it, so why keep saying? I've added my song to the record, anything else, noise. And maybe later, again, and maybe never, so what? As if I've exited the list and rather robe the choir than find my note. I don't need the mic. I want the table in the back for now. Some tea, water, ice if you have it, and the poets. A friend to giggle with in the eyes when the shit is bad. A friend to take my hand when the poem reorders the wound's language, singing it like poetry does. All right. I'm gonna read. Okay, I think I'm gonna do mostly new stuff because I was inspired listening to shit. So now I'm like, let me try new stuff. All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Justin writes the dark shit the best, but here's my little attempt. I don't even have a title for this. I think I was depressed. I don't know, but it's one I keep open sometimes and play with. All right. No title. All right. My shadow is haunting me again, finding new lights, monstering my arm into birds, dark ones, scraps found between dusk and dawn. My black field where the sins do best, still calling them sins, the God I fled and savior, a mark on my language, rash of my soul who turned my brain up this high. The squirrel is a man and 2 different beasts before it's a squirrel. My shadow to crows, letters, my shadows to crows, letters falling out of songs, how cool sunlight is, the keys screaming, stay. I October and the trees are on fire, dead fire at my feet when I walk. Am I the ghost? Will I quiet at the bottom of the sage? Am I what came by the window seeking possession? Am I what came by window seeking possession? Own what? None of my gold is real. Green rings spook each finger, ears like peas, the dead border of brown where each tooth meets the gum. Proof? What if that was a stroke in the car all those years ago? What if I'm still there, shaking, dreaming, shit dream, rent and war and diarrhea, lackluster dick, 3 soulmates, and I left them all. Too bland to be hell, too much blood to be eternity, and the nausea in the morning. My weak stomach and weaker will explain that. Wouldn't something alive see the pattern and choose different? Don't even the ants figure it out? Who killed me? Stuffed me where? Stuffed me here? Let my nothing hands drive the car. The neighbor's prayers keep making holes in my floor. I kept the most urgent ones out of spite. Her prayers panicked and stinking in the corner. I wait in mine for angels. This one is about my grandfather, who I am writing not a book, but an essay that if this essay gets out of my way, a book will happen. But the book, you know how it be. You just got to write that first one first. And so I think this poem is like one of my 18,000 attempts at trying to do what this essay is trying to do. But essays, you can't hide behind shit, bro. Goddamn sentences. Okay. I miss that nigga. Though I don't know if he would love me or what I'd lie about to be loved, but I like to think we'd be cool. And sometimes I'd call him after I knew he was up and ask, nigga, what you doing? And he'd say, shit, nigga, sleep. And we'd holler all over all the mannish nothings he was told to hush up about round a smaller me, and what cancer looted we'd have. A few strolls and new grudges. Maybe his hard learning of the fag he prophesized and believed cured, or maybe he knew before he went unknowable. Maybe if the prostate had shrunk instead of molded, he would have got it right, even a few decades or two of not beating his wife, or maybe he would have again, and you know what? We'd love him. You can knock your father across the jaw, test the barrel to his neck, and be bubble gut giddy about the nigga in the same weekend. I tested the theory. I know it's empty, warm logic. I hated my beloved. The woman he beat for 40 years won't let you call him shit but a good man. She is of a God that confuses and nourishes and imprisons me. He is in a good man's hell, serving a good man's sentence. Hate that marriage means you plot, you escape, and loves murder. Hate that he taught me that. Our local and occasional evil, our shelter from which we flee. A father, a country. I plotted his death in the dark of Saturdays. I miss him so. This one, I think I've been writing a lot about mistakes and guilt. The other side of good. I think part of the project of even like how my books were keeping me alive before and how my poems were keeping me alive required me to at least feign at the hero sometimes. And I don't know, I'm like just trying to leave more space for like even things like a typo, which this poem is about, to be, I don't know, to like bring in something else. I don't know. So this is about, okay, well, it explains it, so I don't need to say it. My deepest and most ashamed apologies to a Soto saint, who I called a Santo in my previous collection, Homie, which was edited by several well-paid folks, and the rat babble fuck of a poem, Gay Cancer, also passed through the young hands of some editors at a young journal, and even Jeff Schatz paid reading ass didn't catch your name, double sainted in the middle, because it was my black job to know you and put you down right. I who found you in the library slow came ripped mirror. I who found you again when I found myself blood-bottomed. I, whose duty it was to give the little sissies and cousins who find even minute use in my poems the key to the door, to the bridge, to the island of your name, stranded and waving on the island of family, looted out the back room by the hood, perpetual sick T-cells marching toward low heavens. All you poets, writers, playwrights, dancers, singers, actors, painters, makers, drag queens, directors, ever emerging from the biased dirt, your genius, your promise, your death, your name, what little I could do, I fucked up. I'm so sorry, Asoto. I did what they all do. I pronounced our names wrong. I said we look like someone else. I put your name in a book and I got the check. I name dropped and false flagged in a single stunt. I lied on you and there were white people around. I said I love you for the crowd. I prayed to your out of print altar whole time in the wrong God's tongue. I uninvited your legacy. I'm a worthless scoop of slot and ego of an egg. I try to conjure the dream where you tell me, child, it's all right so I can sleep, known and loud and cleared. I called a rock a stone, mistook the river for a worm, wasn't faggot, was disappointingly gay, was shallow in the pool of ancestors, wasn't even there and knew better. All right. I'm gonna do two more poems. One more. Two more? Sorry. Just the one. Yeah, this one. I've been thinking about Black people in Minnesota and everywhere, thinking about even like, I don't know. Yeah, just a lot. This week has been a long year. And I know that if you have even minute sense, the answers seem right in front of you. The only way forward to the future requires the abolition of anything that holds a resemblance to its ancestor slavery. That includes the cops, that includes prisons. And I hope that we can all work to manifest that so it's no longer a dream. I'm gonna read this last poem. Because every time I think we do the theater of national death, Emmett Till comes to mind. And so I'm thinking about him, thinking about this poem. Dream where every Black person is standing by the ocean. This isn't new, this is from here. And we say to her, what have you done with our kin you swallowed? And she says, that was ages ago. You've drunk them by now. And we don't understand. And then one woman, skin dark as all of us, walks to the water's lip, shouts, Emmett! Spits. And surely a boy begins crawling his way to shore. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Danez.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just let it wash over you. Just let it wash over you. Let the poetries wash over us. When nothing else is the answer, poetry be the answer a little bit, you know? It's like there's so much to feel, and sometimes like poetry is the only thing that could kind of, and everybody today just really, really shared and showed that. And yes, with all of the authenticity, all of the feelings, all of the rawness. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank you, Danez. Thank you so much, baby. Yeah, so we got a little question and answer time. And actually, Danez, you on the hot seat first. I don't know if you know. But you ready? You ready? So I just had a question for all of y'all. And it goes a little something like this. What conversation would you want to have with your teenage self?
Oh,
in the chat.
I would tell myself to be kinder sooner. I think I was a little mean, like in the closet, a little gay. And you know, I don't know, there's a couple like conversations maybe I would like selfishly tell my little self, like, hey, like for real, wear some condoms, or like you know, do those crunches that you think about before you're 30. But yeah, I think I was like I think, you know, I don't know about y'all, but like I can just like, the older I get, the more like some of those childhood or teenage like cruelties become louder. And so I wish I could have just told my little self, like, hey, like there's a kind person that you'll figure out how to be later. Bring that out sooner. Because I think I was also hurting folks in order to like protect myself, as the young mind says, right? So yeah, invite kindness a lot sooner.
Danez, I love that. I love that. I see your little self next to you listening.
Yeah, you know, like dumbass, you know.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, baby. Okay, so I should tell folks who are coming in the next order. So after Danez, we have Claire on deck, and then Justin and Muriel. We're just gonna go backwards for the folks in the reading. So next, Claire, what conversation would you want to have with your teenage self?
Yeah, I don't know. I was not a great listener as a teenager, so I've been thinking that there's not much I could say that I would have heard, but I do think I would ask my teenage self what she wants to tell me. I think I've been thinking a lot about, I don't know, I've just been watching teenagers, and I feel like they're so beautiful with all of the non-language language, and I think maybe as I've moved further into a life in words, I've lost some of that, and just thinking about you know, the kinds of knowledges that I'm losing as I move through, and how sometimes I call those erasures wisdom, and I don't know, just be a nice way to get back in touch.
Oh, I love that. I know, I think about that too, just sitting with my younger self, and how would I mother and nurture that younger self of mine, you know? And part of that is just listening too. You know, a lot of teens don't get listened to. Thank you, Claire. How about you, Justin? What conversation would you like to have with your teenage self?
I think I want to just let him do most of the talking, and kind of have that follow a question about like what he is not afraid of in the solitude that he chooses. Because I feel like I feel like I was a powerful child looking back, in a sort of like independence, and a kind of refusal to defer to like what other people were into, in a way that I think I lost a little bit. Like I think that kind of got beat out of me. And I think there was a lot more potential in the directions that child chose.
Ooh, I just feel these children rolling up to the space. I just feel them as y'all talk about y'all teen selves. Thank you. Muriel, how about you, baby? What conversation would you have with teenage Muriel?
I tell her that every fashion choice she made was absolutely correct. Everything she bought out of Delia's catalog was great. Please own that. And don't want anyone to tell you different. I would like to tell her to stop getting her ears pierced by some guy that looks like her uncle at Canal Street with a nail gun. Please stop doing that after the third time when it got infected 3 times in a row. I'd tell her that it's okay to be soft. I felt really ashamed for being so soft and sensitive all the time. And I think that it's not until now, you know, after 30 that I finally feel like I have some ownership about just the way that I move through the world. I don't think soft means powerless. I don't think soft means you're any less fierce or have ownership of your life and move with your life with purpose. It's just about making sure that you can be soft and strong. I tell her that it's okay to be that.
Oh, I love that. You and I are so similar, Muriel, and you and I've talked about this, but like a lot of those details, me too, baby.
We're like one astrological sign off.
I know, we're like, put our charts together and we're like, yo, y'all, thank y'all so much for indulging me in that question. Sue said I could ask y'all one question, and that's the thing that I just get curious about a little bit. I feel like oftentimes I'll meet adults and I'm like, man, if we was kids and we met, I think we would have been friends. I think we would have been cool. Yeah, y'all.
Junauda, are you gonna answer the question?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it, but I can.
Okay, never mind. You don't have to.
Okay, coolio.
Answer it.
Cool. I think I would tell my young self to come out earlier. I would certainly tell my young self to come out earlier. And yeah, I think similar to what you're saying, Muriel, to just kind of trust my sort of moodiness and my melancholiness. Like I was a very kind of sad kid. And I realized like I had a lot of shit to be sad about. And I felt like, yeah, there was a lot of emotional sort of, you know, depth and witchiness that I was activating. And I just would empower myself to like go in and not hesitate. So yeah, just to be gay for earlier. Just like get up in there. Don't waste no time. Don't pull no punches. Just get up in there. That's the only thing. But that feels like very important to have added. Yeah. Let's see. I know we got a couple more vibes. There were some special messages that we have from two MPWW beloveds, Michael Torres and Caits Meissner. Michael, would you like to go first?
Yeah. I just want to tell the students that I miss y'all so much, and thinking about the reading and imagining that y'all are watching the reading, I'm imagining also you might do what I do, which is when you like hear great poetry, you start writing right in the moment because you like kind of get that spark. And so hoping you're doing that, but also if you've been in my class before, then you know that like I like to just kind of give like rapid fire prompts. So I'm giving you a bunch of different things to think about. The first several are just like titles, and use the prompt titles however you want. You can react, respond, or resist them. Here are the titles: Fumes, Summer Several Years Ago, The Brush, Birthday, shout out to MKD, Dear Minute, Sidewalk Chalk Before Rainstorm, Sidewalk Chalk After the Rain. And then here's a first line of a poem or story too, for those story writers and essayists. I don't know how to start this poem, or if this would even be considered a poem now. Oh well. And then you go. And the last thing I'll say is I've lately been having a much more appreciation for sound. I have an 8-month-old in the house, and the other day she like, the house was quiet and no one noticed, and then there was a train horn, and she just looked up towards where the sound was coming from, and it was this really beautiful moment where she was trying to like search the sound for its root. And so that's been making me think about sound a lot more. I usually tell my students like to show me what that looks like, the image, but maybe I'll think about sound too. So yeah, I miss y'all and hope to see you in the inside soon.
Thank you, Michael. Caits, you ready?
I'm ready. Y'all said I had 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm taking my 5. Michael, that was such a beautiful gift, and everybody, just a brief note of gratitude and absolute reverence for all the poets tonight, for everyone who's contributed to tonight's event. But this message is very much for everyone watching on the inside. So, dear MPWW writers, I was able to meet many of you when I visited your workshops in 2018. And before that, many of you were legends already in my mind. You know, I'm not surprised anymore, but I'm always still amazed that out of thousands of yearly submissions, somehow MPWW writers just clean up in the PEN America Prison Writing Contest. Shout out to Jeffrey and Jeff and Zeke and B and C Fausto and Elizabeth and Dawn and Louise and Mark and Matthew and anyone I've missed. Just how does that happen out of thousands? The thing is, I know by now, I know exactly why. It is because the MPWW community is so intentional and generous in its rigorous commitment to accountability and horizontal engagement and wild imagination and true partnership between writers inside and outside. I see my own personal desire for a writing community that holds the values and approach that you all have built together, never mind the prison context. I can't overstate the amount I've learned from this particular community, whether it be getting schooled, and I say that lovingly, by Zeke about how the Stillwater Collective was the really original model, forged by writers inside and then adopted by the organization, or how my heart has learned to tune in and be the primary organ that listens to Elizabeth's observations about the women she lives with, or Jeff now giving me multiple interviews about journalism in prison for our efforts, or just thinking about it chokes me up. Yesterday, rereading Fong's poem between his 13 and 31-year-old selves in the forthcoming MPWW anthology. Really maps to your question too, Junauda, which I love. I have been changed by this particular hotbed of talent, and I need you to know from a bird's eye view in the role I hold that you all are pushing the boundaries of how people view what is possible coming out of prison creatively. You are inspiring others in prison who don't have this gift of community, offering them visibility and giving them tangible permission to keep going. These may seem like empty platitudes, but I get the letters and the notes and the phone calls. You are all lighting the way for others, and you need to know that. And thinking about this endless forever year-ish of the pandemic, I have also been privy to the both public and very private expressions of life in prison during COVID, including from many of the folks I named tonight. I don't want to in any way glorify the human rights crisis you've been trapped in, but I do want to thank you for your fire, because your fire, your words, and to those who said yes when I asked for content, and to those who won our contest, and to those who I read in the anthology, and to those I hold in fond memory from meeting in person, and I do think about you all regularly. Your fire directly helped me to survive too. In thinking about how to close my short note to you all, wait, I forgot. I need to say something before I end. B, is this the first time I heard you read your poems in your own voice? That was very moving for me. And Bino, man, the word I used was explosive. Thank you both for those presentations. What a gift. So in thinking about how to close to this, I had a strong feeling that I would find the right ending in the new selected poems of Lucille Clifton. And of course I did. Before I read it, I want to say a special thank you to Jen Bowen, Sue Huang, Junauda for tonight, the Michaels ×3. There's so many of you in MPWW. For the whole community of MPWW, everyone who contributed tonight, man, I just adore you all. This poem by Lucille Clifton is called Roots, and I dedicate it to everyone on this call, but particularly to our writers inside. Call it our craziness even, call it anything. It is the life thing in us that will not let us die. Even in death's hand, we fold the fingers up and call them greens and grow on them. We hum them and make music. Call it our wildness then. We are lost from the field of flowers. We become a field of flowers. Call it our craziness, our wildness. Call it our roots. It is the light in us. It is the light of us. It is the light. Call it whatever you have to. Call it anything. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Caits. Woo!
So much, Caits. Caits thank you so much for making so much time for MPWW. And I just wanted to say a little bit about who you are. You're the director of prison and justice writing from PEN America. So thank you for coming and lifting up MPWW and the writers and the way that you have. As we close today, I was asked by Sue Well, actually, first, before I close, I just wanted just to give another moment to just like lift each other up in the vibes and all of the beautiful poetry and just heart and soul and like just true healing that everybody brought forth just by their presence and sharing their work. Just thank you all. Thank you, Sue, for all of the effort you put in bringing these events together. Thank you, MPWW. Yeah, y'all are the best. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of y'all family and for just doing this work. And yes. So I was invited by Jen and Sue to share a poem of mine, which is actually like maybe the most joyful poem I've ever written, although it's like was written from a very dark and heavy and kind of hopeless place. And it's a poem that often I'm asked to share, you know, after somebody is violently taken away and made into an ancestor by the police state. And I'm just gonna share it and close this out. Folks, feel free to hang out and, you know, while we wrap up. And the poem is called "Could We Please Give the Police Department to the Grandmothers?" And imagine all of the sacred elders in your life. And this is dedicated to my MPWW family. Could we please give the police department to the grandmothers? Give them the salaries and the pensions and the city vehicles, but make them a fleet of vintage Corvettes, Jaguars and Cadillacs with white leather interior, diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the scene with the gangsta lean. Let the cars be badass. You would hear the old school jams like Patti LaBelle, Anita Baker, Al Green. You would hear Sweet Honey and the Rock harmonizing on "We Who Believe in Freedom Will Not Rest," bumping out the speakers. And they got the booming system. If you up to mischief, they will pick you up swiftly in their sweet ride and look at you until you catch shame and look down at your lap. She asks if you're hungry and you say yes, and of course you are. She got a crown of dreadlocks, and on the dashboard you see brown faces just like yours, shea buttered and loved up. And there ain't no precincts, just love temples that got spaces to meditate and eat delicious food, mangoes, blueberries, nectarines, cornbread, peas and rice, fried plantain, fufu yams, greens, okra, pecan pie, salad, lemonade, things that make your mouth water and soul arrive. All the hungry bellies know warmth. All the children expect love. The grandmas help you with homework, practice yoga with you, and teach you how to make jambalaya and coconut cake from scratch. When you're sleepy, she'll start humming and rub your back while you drift off. A song that she used to have the record of when she was your age. She remembers how it felt like to be you and be young and not know the world that good. Grandma is a sacred child herself who just circled the sun enough time into the ripeness of her cronehood. And she wants your life to be sweeter. When you wilding out because your heart is broke or you don't know what you need, the grandmas take your hand and lead you to their gardens. You can lay down amongst the roses, the dahlias, the irises, the collards, kale, blackberries. She wants you to know that you're safe, protected, you're universal, limitless, sacred, sensual, divine, and free. Grandma is the original warrior, wild since birth, comfortable and loving fiercely. She has fought so that you don't have to, not in the same ways, at least. So give the police to the grandmas. They fearless, classy, and actualized, blossom from love. They wear what they want and they say what they please. Believe that. There wouldn't be noise citations when the grandmas ride through our streets, blasting Stevie, Nina Simone, Marvin Gaye, Alice Coltrane, Jimi Hendrix, all that good music. The kid's gonna hula hoop to it and sell her lemonade made from heirloom pink lemons and maple syrup. The car is solar powered and carbon footprintless. The grandmas design the technologies themselves. At night, they park the cars in a circle so all can sit in them with the sunroofs down and look at the stars, talk about astrological signs, what to plant tomorrow based on the moon's mood, and help you memorize Audre Lorde and James Baldwin quotes. She always looks you in the eye It acknowledges the light in you with no hesitation or fear. And Grandma loves you fiercely forever. She sees the pain in our bravado, the confusion in our anger, the depth behind our coldness. Grandma knows what oppression has done to our souls and is going to change it one love temple at a time. She has no fear. Thank you, everyone. All your beautiful, beautiful, sweet souls.
Thank you, Junauda.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This was really healing. Just, I didn't even know how bad I needed it. I knew how bad I needed it, and I still needed it better. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
Of course. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Everyone,
Rita.
please turn on your mics and say hello to the students. And
What up, students?
Miss you.
Hello.
Students, thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.
We miss you.
Miss you.
Y'all take care of each other.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
nice to
Jess.
meet you, Justin.
Thank
So
you, Muriel. Thank you.
Nice to meet y'all.
Thank you, Caits. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone. It was so wonderful. Good night.